Okay, so I'm back on working on Intro CS curriculum. Last time we got pretty far in breaking down the first day and finishing the lectures. Um, there might still be some movement that happens here. It's possible I might want to do some sort of type stuff earlier on day 1A. But otherwise, this is pretty clear. I think at this point I can go on to control flow and conditionals. And I think I actually already have some lectures for this. Conditionals, let's see. Yeah, there we go, style conditionals. So if I remember correctly, I should have already set this up in here. Style control flow conditionals. Perfect. Okay. I think I do want to talk about comments with them, but I will not have talked about input yet, I don't think. So I will figure out how to rework this, but I do think I will talk about style. Yeah, see, for control flow, it'd be really nice if we could actually take inputs. And I remember I deleted some, I can actually just take them from here. So wherever I have input, I have like 3 slides on input. Okay, so I might do input here at the beginning. This is a maybe still. What is it here? Comment. Yeah, command option M. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, and loops. Okay, we'll figure out loops next. I think. Yeah, these built-in string functions. I will figure out where this needs to go. I just don't want to overwhelm them with day 2 control flow conditionals input. Overall, that looks decent to me. So let me make a new folder, lecture 2A. Probably lists too. I do think I'll talk about lists. And then for 1B, we changed this, didn't we? If I remember correctly. Let's see. 1B is data types. Types, casting. You know, if anything, actually, input could go pretty nicely at the end of that. Yeah, I probably will do that. Let's go back here. So let's open these 1B slides. Style control for conditionals. This is definitely going to be 2A. Not sure why. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's do input at the end of. I think this is kind of reasonable. So types should take me probably half an hour to introduce. Operators and stuff will take 15 minutes. Types including casting. I really think types, casting, and operators will take 45 minutes, and that'll leave room to talk about inputs. So to me, that looks actually pretty good. Okay, cool. 2A, style control flow conditionals. Yeah. So yeah, let's go work on some problems here for this day. So I can take a look at what we had last time. See, last time it was functions and then lists and strings. I don't love that. Problems 1A, lecture 1A, lecture 1B, lecture 1B. So I'm going to pull jam coders. Addis coder. Cool. These two sets of problems let's see, Dan, start out with review. Forgot to teach not classic operator. Let me actually just go over here, pull something up for a moment. Okay. And then the one other thing I'm going to fix real quick is, yeah, just seeing behind the scenes of what setting up a stream actually looks like. By the way, in case it's useful to anyone who watches this, I'm using OBS here to set up my kind of stream. I use this to record my lecture videos. And so it's pretty nice because you can do things like this where you have yourself in the corner. Behind me, I actually just have like a bit of a green screen. I still have it from my days when I used to make videos for class, and so I thought I would just use it here. And it lets you switch between like screen only, me with the screen, and then my face zoomed in, and I chose this prettier background here. You can even kind of see the green screen if I move my hands around. Okay. So going on to lecture 2A, the problems. I don't think I'm going to say that much about style. I might do this style bit as a think, pair, share. So that'll be one of my Yeah, see, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this like simultaneous times equals. I don't think they need to know this. But this is good. This I like. So I'm going to download this and come open up one of my notebooks here. Yeah, this one gets saved as a new one. Oops. How does this lab? Anything confusing? Did I download the wrong one? Sure seems like I did. Yeah, this is the one I need. I need 2A. Lecture 2A. And I will download lecture 2B. Okay, cool. I will upload a notebook here. Okay, I like this point that Daniel wants to highlight here. So actually, I'm going to go and pull up my lecture 1A. Whoops, lecture 1B. No, lecture 1A. Okay, cool. That little addition, I'm happy. So I have my slides for 2A here. Control flow and conditionals. I'm going to cut out this discussion of variables. Okay, that I will keep though. So the bit about comments, let's see, I probably, Control MZ. Yeah, there we go. So it goes there. Okay, something like that. Yeah, because I need to say that before I go and talk about style. All right. I like Daniel's motivation for conditionals here. So let's see. In my slides, after style, when we go to talk about control flow, this cluster of nested conditionals. I probably will include this, but I need to rework this example to be students relatable. In your free time. Yeah, okay. I'll come back and rework this later, but this is generally a good example. Um, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with those slides. Let me just make sure that covers the topics I want. Yeah, not lists. So trying to think if we can get away without lists to do loops. I think we actually can if we want to. I think we actually can if we want to. Okay, because if I don't talk about lists, then there are problems. Something like this might actually work. Might actually be okay. Let's go make the problems. Okay, this seems pretty reasonable for conditionals. Let's see what not sure what if Boaz here had a section on conditionals. Yeah, I guess he kind of did. There's a lot going on in these slides. I think this is hard for me to follow, personally. But I get what he's trying to do. I think he's doing this kind of like Python tutor style, you know, break down the code and show how memory evolves. I think it's just too early for them to see that, so I'm not going to do that for now. Otherwise, I quite like this. So style, control, flow, conditionals, built-in string functions. Flow. Oh, okay. Okay. City 1, 2. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, this is great. So let's finalize that. And we'll link the slides. And the notebook to A. Um, I'll leave these in. I probably won't do all of these, but it'll remind me when I'm actually teaching to cover them. Let's just make sure. So the day before we learned types and casting, was it? So I need 1B, data types and casting, yeah. Okay, love that. And for 2A, I just need some stuff with string functions. Yep. This is about it for now, actually. Because I think for these, I'm going to actually do what I have in my lecture slides, those examples. And so I'll move them over here. Um, okay, that's lecture 2A, just about done. Let's start lecture 2B. Let's see how far we get. So plan for lecture 2B is lists, for loops, and range. Now what I'm trying to think about is what order I want to introduce this in. So I'm trying to remember, when do I introduce lists? Yeah, right. Okay, so lists actually come later for me in so I might actually do for loops and range. Yeah, I just don't think they necessarily need lists yet. Yeah. Let's see. Lecture 2B. Okay. Yeah, I like this order. I wonder if it'll be enough per class. And this is the really tricky thing about teaching Intro to Computer Science. Um, there's going to be like 20% of the class that has coded a bunch before. I mean, maybe even like 40% of the class has taken a coding, done some sort of coding, especially now, like online. It's kind of funny if they play like Roblox or something or some other games. Many of these games have some programmable aspect to them, and so they learn how to code there. But they learn like really, they don't learn properly. The setup is like they have something that they want to do in the game or make it work, and then they Google things until they can figure it out. Um, might be even more different now with ChatGPT, where they ask, or Gemini. So the point being is that there will be this distribution of students with abilities. And by the way, this isn't natural abilities. Though some students seem to have more of an aptitude for kind of computational thinking than others, especially at this camp, it'll be all really strong kind of mathy students, I think, that have a lot of promise. But some will just have more exposure to CS. For the ones who have exposure, they'll pick up loops like that. It makes it really hard to teach intro CS because you get engagement from enough people in the class that seem to be really getting it. There'll be someone who's excited to answer. You have to pay really close attention to the students that aren't talking. So that means like walking around and seeing what students aren't getting. Um, if you just stand at the front of the class and try to see what's going on that way, you will be very misled because you will have students who speak and it'll seem like they're following along. That does not mean that you're doing the right thing because that's like if you were teaching someone who already knows how to code. Of course, they're going to get it all on day one. Um, but what I think happens every year, I mean, I saw this at Iscoder. You can see what happens here. So loops were taught on day 3 in the morning. The afternoon was more focus on loops and functions. Day 4 was more loops and functions, and then part B of day 4 was more loops and functions. Um, then I taught the second week here, We gave them a quiz in the morning, and they still weren't getting loops. So we had to still teach them more loops. So again, even though loops seem like kind of a simple concept once you know the material, when you have experience, when you don't have any experience with them, they're very confusing. So here as well, right? Day 3 was more loops. So I guess Boaz here taught something about loops. Day 2, loops, more loops, more loops, nested loops. So I just have this hunch that if we split up loops into 2 separate days, they'll have more of a chance to understand what's going on. And there's plenty for them to work with because they've learned about taking input. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is plenty. This is plenty. Then I think lecture 3A can be, yeah, while loops and lists. Cool. It's 3A, and let's find my lists. Uh, there's so much going on here. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Yeah, because see, the goal isn't to lecture the whole time. I think my goal is going to be to show them demos of stuff. So like as I teach them while loops, I will go make a calculator game with them. Because the idea I think isn't for them to go and think about how to code things up for the first time on their own in their lab. It's for them to get introduced to some concepts and then see me work through them, and then even do a think pair share. So yeah, yeah. Sure. Um, 3b functions and lists. Yeah, so advanced functions will come in 4a. Yeah. This is definitely how I want to do it. So we're going to make a copy here. Lecture 4a. More functions and scope. Print versus return. So that's going to be something I need to figure out. I think I might leave imports out. Like I might leave imports for the following week. Where did I just have them? Yeah. I think the only reason to keep this would be if we really wanted to use one of these modules for a game. That's the only reason I can think of to keep one of these in. But this will be functions. guess this is in B right now. Yeah, this makes sense that it's out here. Yeah, it just feels like this is a whole thing because the topic should become lists and mutability. Dictionary is definitely not happening. Oops, did I not? Yeah. Okay, I just need to move this guy. Okay, and drive, and I'll do that in a separate page over here. Cool. So now, if we go back to our drive, cool. I will get rid of lists here. We're kind of getting somewhere, right? So 4A is more functions in scope. Advanced function, you have to hover on scope. 4B could be my yeah, something like this. So this is really important. I didn't fully understand this until the last time I taught. You really have to have exams for so many reasons. Um, it forces you to confront, you as the instructor to confront what the students do know, right? It forces the students to also confront what they know. I remember some of our teaching professors at Berkeley talking about this. Um, frequent examination shows much better results than having just one big exam at the end, because the pessimistic view is that students don't have the self-control to kind of go force themselves to study until right before an exam. The less pessimistic take is that students, even students with the best intentions, um, don't confront their own misunderstandings until they go to prepare for a test, because a test asks questions that checks their understandings. So it may not be malicious. You might have a really good student who's like really on top of things, but they don't realize they're what they don't. It's the sort of thing where they don't know what they don't know, and the exam helps clarify that for them. So Yeah, I might move that maybe up to day 3. The reason is because these nested loops, they're these nice problems where you can get people to construct like a Christmas tree or something. It's kind of cute. Um, yeah, and then 4b is list immutability. Um, bonus material. Oops. Okay. And actually, lo and behold, I now have a curriculum for my first 10 lectures. I kind of want to point out how quickly this goes once it gets going. I kind of see this like one of those parking games. Let me see if I can find one. Car park unblock game. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of these games, right? Where you like, okay, so you have to move the car so you can kind of, I mean, let's see if it'll let me play this. All right, so you have to like move this car here, then here, then here. Um, and now I can move this car over here, but right, like for whatever reason. Oh my gosh, how does this go? Oh yeah, something like this. All right. So to me, curriculum design is like this, where uh, we spent the first, I had 2 other live streams that were 2 hours each. And I like the first 2 hour live stream, I basically just figured out the very first lecture. But the pieces come together pretty quickly because it's very hard to know what to teach first. But later bits build it on each other very naturally. Um, and so it takes a lot of time thinking through the early moves because you have to predict a bunch of moves ahead. But once you've done that, the other bits come together. So now that this material is mostly outlined, the open question will be, will I move nested loops up earlier? And I don't think so. I have to go advocate with my TAs to have an exam, which I feel pretty strongly about. I will actually push to do that. I expect it'll take me probably about 20-ish minutes per day of problems because they're going to match my lecture pretty closely, and I'll be able to reuse some examples from past semesters. And I need to think of what my think pair shares will be. But otherwise, I expect probably another, I don't know, what is that? 2-3 hours of work, and then I'll be ready to teach. I'll have everything ready to go. And then I can hand this off to the TAs so they can use it for making material. Yeah, I think with that, I'll stop for now since I'm about to reach an hour tonight. This is coming along really nicely. I'm very excited to go teach this material. Okay. Probably spend another hour tomorrow night and an hour the night